So this was the last step in the investment casting process, right? You break the mold and you take the castings out. As we do many times, I have collected figures of the same process from another source, and once you look at it with different figures, it is easier to understand. So a schematic illustration of the investment casting or the lost wax process. Castings by this method can be made with very fine detail and from a variety of metals, right? So mold to make the pattern, right? This is the mold to make the pattern. The wax pattern is to be made. So this is the mold, right? So injection wax or plastic pattern and the ejection. So you make a pattern to make the wax pattern, and then you make many of these. And then you make the cluster, the pattern assembly, the pattern tree. So you make the cluster, right? And then you take this whole thing, and dip it in the slurry coating. And it is going on. This process, you up, down, so that it is very finely covered inside and outside with the fine refractory material, right? And that forms the shell. So now this is the completed mold. You do a little bit of heating so that the melt out, right? All the wax will go. So it is in the inverted position, all the wax will go. And even after the wax goes away, you keep on heating it so that the shell becomes strong. You call it baking, right? And then once it is ready, then you do the pouring. Once it pours, you do the shake out, and the casting is there and the pattern is here, right? So this is the shell pattern, right? You whatever you want. So this is the whole method. Here we are showing you, if you see, this is a one-piece compressor stator. You know, I mean, whenever there are moving parts, there is a rotor and there is a stator. A stator is the stationary part, rotor is the moving part. But just see the amount of details. Very complicated geometry. If you have to machine it out, my goodness, the amount of machining that you will have to do will be incredible, right? But if you do it with a casting, but then of course the casting method must be very accurate. It is not normal sand casting where all these very accurate dimensions will not be possible, right? So this is the compressor stator with 108 separate airfoils made by investment casting, right? So this is a proof, right? And a real proof that investment casting, this lost wax method, is very precise, very accurate. You can do very fine details, very good surface geometry and so on. And because of making the cluster or the tree and so on, you can make a lot of these parts. And right, so the extra cost that is there in making the mold to make the wax pattern and the heating steps and the slurry and the tree, all that is balanced out in the end, because the final product is so accurate that you do not need to do the trimming and surface finishing and machining and a lot of those things and so forth. In engineering, this is always the case. Always the case. In every class in engineering, I sometimes remember in a design class, of course, we always ask it. But I say that for an engineer, for any engineering company, for any engineering product, what are the three most important requirements? Three that you must always consider for any engineering operation. It is always what? Quality, cost, time. Quality, cost, time. If your quality is not good enough, then whatever you do, after some time, people will start telling that this product is not good, so it will fail. So quality is important. Quality is important. Cost. You see, somebody can pay for a Rolls-Royce car, right? 100,000 reals, okay. But a normal person cannot pay more than 10,000, 15,000 reals max or less than that. So the cost is important, that the customers that you are targeting, the quality should be good enough for them at the cost that they can afford. For a Rolls-Royce person, yes, we will make it such that I mean, for 50 years, 60 years, 80 years, it will keep on running without problem, okay, but that is that category. But this category, that after 6, 7, 8 years, the car will start to have a problem. After 10 years, it will have a lot of problem, but the car is only 5,000 riyals, right? So quality, cost. The third is time. Time. You have made a product which is good quality, reasonable quality. It is made with reasonable cost. But the other company is producing 20 pieces per day. You are producing 1 piece per day. So they are taking 20 times your profit, isn't it? So cost, quality and time. These are always the 3 major criteria. And from sand casting, right, to other methods like plaster casting and this and that, until this investment casting loss, the cost will be different, the quality that it will be produced will be different, the amount of work and time, right? How much time do you need for the trimming and this and that and those operations? So overall, this balance of cost, quality and time together has to be always the major decision which type you will use. What are the advantages, disadvantages? Again, you can stop it and you will see that most of it, 70 to 80%, you can tell yourself. If you don't read it, you can tell yourself. You know general sand casting, you know wax casting, lost wax casting. So advantages: parts of great complexity and intricacy can be cast, close dimensional control and good surface finish. Wax can be recovered, it has melted, so it can be reused. This is a net shape process. You see, once you say this, good dimensional accuracy and good surface finish, it is the same thing, that this is a net shape process. Additional machining, trimming, surface finishing is not normally required, right? So this comes directly from here. Disadvantages: many processing steps are required, and relatively means compared to normal sand casting and so on, a little more expensive process, isn't it? So these are the 2 disadvantages. But that is why in the previous slide I was trying to explain to you that the additional cost and so on that you incur, but when you make castings of very high accuracy and very complicated geometry, then the profit balances the cost out, okay? This is an example. Now this is an example. Rotor. Previously we showed you an example of a stator. This is the rotor. This is the rotor. This is one product. This is the other product. So microstructure of a rotor that has been investment cast. This rotor is made through investment casting, and this through conventional sand casting and so on. So if you see here, the grain size is very large. The grain size is very large. Here, very fine grains if you do it through investment casting. So this is another huge advantage. You remember your material science, right? You remember your Hall-Petch equation, the relationship between yield strength and the average grain dia. So it is inverse. If the average grain dia is small, the strength and hardness of the material will be better. So one thing is that the dimensional accuracy and the surface finish is good. But the other thing is that in this casting, the dimensional accuracy and so on is okay, the same as here. But if it is larger grain size and this is finer grain size, then all the mechanical properties of this casting are far better, far superior compared to this one, right? So this is another major thing why this investment casting or lost wax casting is done compared to sand casting for many products. With that, we finished the expendable pattern. Remember, all casting was divided into a big first major category of expendable mold, expendable permanent pattern. Expendable mold, permanent pattern. Then second category was expendable mold, expendable pattern. So the lost wax method or the polystyrene method were of this last kind. Now we come to the third And the last category of permanent mold casting. Permanent mold. We are not talking here of pattern because it is not required. Right? You see, earlier you were saying one word for mold and one word for pattern. Expendable mold, permanent pattern. Here it is just permanent mold. So the mold is permanent. The mold will not be broken. The mold will be used again and again. So the mold itself will be of a permanent nature. So you don't need any pattern here. So the name is permanent mold casting. In the beginning, we just give you a background. Economic disadvantage of expendable mold, where the mold is broken every time. A new mold is required for every casting, right? So, I mean, the overall cost and the overall quality and overall time and so on is there, and because the technique is very popular, it is there. But this still is a big issue in terms of time and cost and the material required for the mold. If I have 5,000 castings, then I have to make the mold 5,000 times, right? In permanent mold casting, the mold is reused many times. The processes include basic permanent mold casting, die casting, and centrifugal casting. So in the permanent mold, these three types are there. Now when we, right, I have not written the mold is reused and stop there. No, many times. There is no product that can last infinitely, isn't it? Even the Rolls Royce after 50 years will be bad. My normal car after 10 years will be bad. But there will be no car that runs for 500 years, right? So even the permanent mold, after some time, 50 times, 100 times, I don't know, will have to be replaced. So it can be used many times, but not infinitely. So basic permanent mold process, basic. It uses a metal mold, right? Not sand, not ceramic, not plaster, a metal mold constructed of two sections designed for easy, precise opening and closing, right? Because you have to remove the casting afterwards from it. It is a permanent thing, so it is made, the mold is made of metal, but it is always made in two sections so that the two sections can be separated, and after the casting is solidified inside, the casting can be taken out. Molds used for casting lower melting point alloys are commonly made of steel or cast iron. You see, the mold is of metal. What metal? Because whatever metal you use for the mold should be good enough so that when you put the alloy which is molten inside, this mold is still not going bad because of that. So low melting point materials, if the melting point materials are low, then the mold material is cast iron or steel, right? Molds used for casting steel itself, if I want to cast a steel, must be made of a refractory material, because steel, for example, we melt at 1000, 1100. So the mold should be good for 1500 at least, right? So if you want to cast steel, then you have to have some special, very special metal that will have several hundred Celsius higher melting temperatures than steel, right? So therefore, usually one direct disadvantage. Huge advantage, the mold can be used again and again and again. But one direct disadvantage, that because the mold is now made of metal, so it can be used for only casting of those alloys which have a melting temperature of several hundred Celsius lower than this one.